Good evening and welcome to the penultimate episode of Nate NewsWatch.
Wow, so that's it? No more Nate NewsWatch ever?
Not with us at least, unless you failed a class without me knowing. Anyways, instead of the regular show, tonight we're going to be taking a closer look at some more personal stories from in and around the Edmonton area as we step aside from the weekly menu of news, sports, entertainment, and weather.
Okay, Kayla, let's say hypothetically I did fail a class.
As well, we'll bring you one story coming all the way from Canmore.
Like, would I have to retake the entire semester, or?
While it may not be the giving season, some businesses are helping out people in need by giving free meals to those in need.
Okay, that's right, Kayla. I had a chance to talk to not only a local business about how they are helping feed people, but also an organization known for helping people feed themselves, even when they can't afford groceries. Struggling to afford a meal is a reality for many, with nearly a quarter of households in Alberta facing food uncertainty in 2022, as of reported by the University of Toronto. Yet, amidst these challenges, businesses like Pizza Talks and Donair are stepping up to ensure that no one goes hungry. They're offering up to 10 free meals a week for those who are unable to pay.
Suppose one customer like you are here for 100 times and one day you lose the job, you still come to us and you don't have money. We need to stand with you to give you back when you are in the bad time, right? That's the way we believe.
Since November, Pizza Talks has generously provided over 250 meals to community members in need. Raj now hopes that other businesses will take inspiration from his restaurant and join him in making a meaningful impact across the city.
I can do something, so at least the other businesses, they're gonna also step up and do something. So if everybody step up, so at least we don't have anybody to, struggling with the food.
Supporting others this way is not just a business endeavor for Raj. It's a principle rooted in his faith and community values, where giving back to those in need is deeply ingrained.
I am from Sikh community and it's from our ancestors, and then they started this one 400-500 years back. So we are following their path. So like giving 10% back to the community.
While businesses like Pizza Talks are helping people get a meal, sometimes it takes more to get through the mud.
Community organizations such as the Edmonton Food Bank are crucial in tackling food insecurity, supporting around 34,000 individuals monthly, almost twice the capacity of Rogers Place. They are also working in collaboration with a range of partners to address diverse dietary requirements.
We have everyone from Kinnikinnick Foods, that's celiac specialties, that they provide key infrastructure for us, for individuals that have that disease. We work with different organizations like Islamic Family Social Services for other dietary restrictions, pork-free hampers. We will provide them with the oil and flour and halal meats while they do the intake.
By helping these individuals, volunteers often encounter stories that leave a lasting impact.
We did have a couple of staff and volunteers that said that they would stay right away to make sure this family was helped.
These stories resonate deeply, reminding us of the profound impact a warm meal can have.
And as they were packaging up, the little boy jumped up and down and yelled, "Look, Daddy, we're rich." So a child equated wealth with food. And if that doesn't impact you, then I don't know what will.
Alex Jager, Nate NewsWatch Extra. Co-ed gyms around the city are constantly at use, but more recently on social media, women have been facing harassment in co-ed gyms.
That's right, Alex. I decided to head down to 2 women-only gyms here in the city for some information on why having these spaces are so important. Women-only gyms are emerging as a place for strength and support. Beyond just spaces for physical fitness, these gyms serve as vibrant communities where women thrive, free of judgment or intimidation. Co-ed gyms can be intimidating with a perceived pressure of beauty or strength. Women-only gyms offer a safe space from this pressure by gaining an atmosphere full of encouragement. But why are these spaces so important for women who work out?
Women here come here for physical and emotional support. So I find the emotional support right now is huge. And we have such a community of support here. It's just overwhelming that they're getting that and staying healthy. So it's just win-win.
The sense of belonging can be particularly empowering for those who have faced discrimination or harassment in co-ed spaces who are now looking for an inclusive space.
It's just for women, like it says, no makeup, no mirror, no men. So it's just you and your girls, and you don't have to worry about maybe all that other stuff of feeling judged or, a spectacle, how women sometimes feel like they're always being watched, and you don't have that here, so that's really nice.
These spaces cater to the needs and preferences of women, from fitness classes tailored to the female body, to yoga classes to help strengthen women. Women-only gyms prioritize the comfort and convenience of their members, sharing experiences and challenges in a supportive environment. Beyond just physical health, women-only gyms contribute to mental and emotional well-being. They provide a sense of community and sisterhood. Women-only gyms also play a crucial role in promoting gender equality in the fitness industry. Around the city of Edmonton, there's many gyms, but what about female-only gyms? Here at Flourish Fitness and Curves in Sherwood Park, they offer services for women only, not just for the sense of security, but more so for the sense of sisterhood and friendship. What more do we need to know about women-only gyms around the city?
Women are very underserved in the fitness community, and it's about time that someone came through and gave us girls the same opportunities in the gym that men have.
These are spaces where women feel empowered to take control of their health and fitness. These gyms push traditional norms of male dominance within the world of exercise. Many women feel undefined by co-ed gyms. These spaces allow them to feel welcome and celebrated by others.
Finding gym equipment that is conducive to women's bodies is hard enough, let alone finding a women's only space. So yeah, I think it's only fair that girls get a girls only gym.
Women-only gyms are not just places to work out, but hubs of inspiration, solidarity, and strength. The importance of women-only gyms is in their ability to create environments where women feel comfortable and confident to pursue their fitness goals. With gym harassment on the rise, women-only gyms are here to support any women who are looking for a judgment-free and celebrated space to feel confident in themselves, allowing a more inclusive and equitable fitness landscape. I'm Kayla Patterson with NewsWatch Extra.
We are in the digital age now more than ever, yet the opinion on AI is still divided.
With AI only evolving and expanding by the day, how will that affect the daily lives of everyone? Our Harold Abuan took a look at where AI is now and the impact it's having in our world.
Thanks, guys. I'm here standing in front of an Edmonton Police Department. I came to speak to a cybercrime detective to talk about AI, its uses, and its features. But first, let's take a closer look at what it's become and where we see it now.
Welcome. Glad you're here. I'm your DJ X, and you know what? I got great stuff for you today.
A couple of decades ago, it was merely science fiction, but nowadays, it's everywhere.
I'm not a person or a robot. I'm software here to help.
From virtual assistants to your music to social media, you can find artificial intelligence anywhere you look. AI is being implemented in our everyday lives more and more each day.
It's everywhere, right? So the students are using it for completing their assignments, whether allowed or not. And instructors are using it to create lesson plans and plan out their curriculums.
AI has gotten to the point where criminals can use it to manipulate the voice of someone to fool unsuspecting victims over the phone, which is what raises concerns for many. Even this police officer, who asked to have his voice distorted and identity hidden because he's aware of the dangers.
All it takes is a short snippet of your voice, a few seconds worth, and somebody can convincingly replicate what you sound like and talk like you.
The opinion on AI has always been divided. Some are concerned that it may become out of control and start taking over our jobs, while others are willing to work in harmony with AI to reap its benefits. Whether you like it or not, AI is an ever-expanding entity that will eventually be present in essentially everything we do.
Vocal cloning technology has gotten to the point that it can make practically anyone say anything. You might have seen videos on YouTube of songs covered by AI clones of singers, and this part is voiced by my vocal clone. I trained this vocal clone on 11 Labs by recording me reading the script for this story. That's just around 3 minutes of me reading in order to get a vocal clone this accurate.
Did you hear the difference?
A year ago, it was easy to know. On March 27th of last year, Reddit user u/chaindrop made and posted this video of Will Smith eating spaghetti made with Stable Diffusion. Just 11 months later, OpenAI debuts Sora, their text-to-video model, with videos like this. While AI has its uses in entertainment, some are embracing its use in an educational setting.
Easy in radio to prove to measurement of success.
Silvana Babchishin teaches commercialized marketing classes at NATE, where she actually encourages the use of AI to generate ideas for scripts and product advertisements. She views it as a tool and thinks AI is effective at giving her students a foundation for where to start and laying out a general idea of how to promote your products.
It's like the calculator. At a certain point, you know how to do the math, but it's a lot faster and more convenient to get the calculator to do that so that you can actually work with the result. So it's the same for me, I think, in AI. It's like, well, you let it do the mundane stuff that's not crucial to what you're doing so that you can get to the stuff that is important.
Ultimately, AI is constantly evolving, and its impact will soon be felt in basically every aspect of our lives.
Harold Abon, NATE NewsWatch.
With much of the province experiencing drought-like conditions, fires can spread from building to building in an instant.
That's right. Last year's fire season was especially fierce. Even a single spark could blaze into a raging inferno. For some basic fire prevention tips and to see what actually goes on during a fire inspection, our Fiona Sarita has more.
Thanks, guys. I'm here at the Edmonton Fire Station, where brave men and women risk their lives every day keeping us safe. But fire prevention is also essential for businesses and families, especially during wildfire season. Last week, I got the chance to go on the job with a fire prevention officer.
Initial deployment. Brush Truck 1, Tanker 1, Brush Truck 5, Squad 6, and Tanker 6.
Fire inspection is a key part in keeping businesses safe and accountable for fire safety. The inspection process goes far beyond checking extinguishers and alarms in some areas you might not expect.
It's my job to go to different occupancies and buildings within Strathcona County and educate the business owners and occupants of the fire code safety.
With last year's fire season up to 10 times more severe than normal, numbers rose to over 1,000 fires and 2.2 million hectares burned. Fire safety is now more important than ever. More than half of last year's fires were human-caused, with 159 days of total fire ban. This makes fire inspection even more essential. I'm at the Strathcona County Fire Department, where we follow along for the daily routine of a fire inspector. Along the way, we learn that the main causes of fires in businesses are typically electrical malfunctions, but in some cases could be the result of improper storage and spacing procedure, particularly in server rooms and kitchens.
Yeah, those things that we look at are in like fire-rated rooms and stuff. We want to make sure that everything is sealed up tightly. So whenever people do renovations or they add IT equipment or they add electrical stuff, those are the things that we want to look at to make sure that those rooms are still well protected.
The fire inspection program in Strathcona County starts with a self-inspection checklist. Once the fire inspector arrives, there are checks on fire extinguishers, emergency lights, exit doors and signs, extension cords, sprinkler systems, and more.
We rely on those systems on big buildings to operate effectively and efficiently so that when we come, we can support them and the fire is hopefully put out by the time we get there. That's the purpose of them.
With so many buildings to cover, fire stations are training more inspectors to take the heat off of the firefighters. Ryan Hayes is in the training stage of becoming a fire inspector, a procedure which takes about 9 to 12 months to be considered proficient.
I believe there's 4 courses in total online, and then I have to shadow the current inspectors and just kind of learn what we're all looking for the different various types of occupancies that we have to inspect.
But you don't need to be an expert to practice fire safety. Some basic tips include making sure fire alarm and sprinkler systems are functioning with regular check-ins from installation maintenance, as well as an emergency response plan and evacuation map. Electrical maintenance is also paramount as fires can spread quickly. Prevention is absolutely essential, and inspections must be completed at least once every year. I'm Fiona Sarita with NewsWatch Extra.
Coming up after the break, one brewery has organized a way for the community to give back to those in need.
Plus, some delectable tales to satisfy your strongest cravings.
Everyone has heard of water to wine, but what about beer into water?
A brewery in Edmonton has found a new and interesting way to help the underprivileged in the community. Our Nick Dubé has more.
Yes, a local brewery is turning profits in beer into provisions and water for those in need, and in turn, strengthening the community.
It's about that engagement and the conversation, the smiles that I see. I mean, that's a profit.
For Darren McGowan, owner of Arcadia Brewery, it isn't all about monetary profits. It's about giving back to a community that gave back in his time of need.
I've dealt with health issues in my life that, I wasn't, supposed to walk again after I was paralyzed, and the support of people and community helped me get to where I am.
Now Darren is introducing a new outreach program, Time for Kindness, a membership-based program ran by committee turning profits to proceeds for charity.
The memberships of Time for Kindness is all of that money is going to our outreach program. When we take these memberships, we do have a committee that kind of holds me accountable to ensure that this money is being spent properly, the money is being donated properly, and the committee is selecting the causes. So yeah, it's all about transparency.
For the Time for Kindness Committee, Water Warriors was a deserving not-for-profit charity with boots to the ground that does more than hand out water.
They're not some well-known organization who's out there. They're volunteer-based, and they're out there handing out necessities. They're doing handing out naloxone kits. They're checking for people who may have overdosed.
Water Warriors, a local nonprofit supported entirely by donations and volunteers, is the chosen grassroots recipient of this month's Time for Kindness.
Water Warriors is a 100% volunteer-run, Indigenous-led organization. We started in 2020 because of the pandemic.
Handing out water, supplies, and everything in need, the Time for Kindness initiative is needed more now than ever for charities like Water Warriors.
We're seeing new faces every week when we go out, which is distressing. We're actually seeing the problem getting worse and not better.
Time for Kindness will aid these charities to combat the suffering those less fortunate endure, but helping hands are always in demand.
Volunteer is the big one. That's number one on the top of our list, because the more people that we have and come out to volunteer, the more folks we are able to reach in the community.
For Water Warriors YEG, the Time for Kindness program is more than just money.
Time for Kindness is the opportunity for community-minded groups like Water Warriors YEG to be able to get our name and our mission out there.
Time for Kindness was introduced to serve, grow, and better the community.
Time for Kindness is just a way of being a catalyst for change. It's bridging this gap of our customers and craft beer customers into the local community.
To get involved or to support Time for Kindness, go to arcadiabrewing.ca.
A woman in Spruce Grove is working hard to give unwanted animals a chance at a new life.
Through her tireless effort, dozens of doomed dogs have found a loving place to call home. Our Candace Slosky has more.
Thanks, guys. Since the pandemic and the recent cost of living increases, pet abandonments have been on the rise. I was lucky enough to get to talk to independent rescuer Janet Talbot about how she's working to combat this problem.
You guys want to go outside?
I think there's always an opportunity to help an animal. Doesn't matter if it's an animal in the wild or a domesticated animal.
Janet Talbot has rescued over 100 dogs in the past 13 years. She helps out animals all over North America, but Mexico is where the majority of her focus is needed.
There's a different attitude in general, I think, culturally, how we look at our dogs and treat our dogs like they go everywhere with us. They're a huge part of our families. Sadly, in Mexico, people don't realize it is a third world country, so they can barely afford to feed themselves and their families, never mind a dog. It's tough. You see a lot of abuse. You see a lot of result of what happens with an overpopulation of dogs and cats and unwanted litters.
The inspiration for her work came in the form of one dog in particular.
I was on Kijiji one night and just, I don't know, posting something to sell. So I went into the pet section and I was just going through and I saw this picture of this like shut down old little dog, and right away my heart just went, oh my gosh.
Wilson, as she would later name him, was abandoned in the ocean. Luckily, a passing fisherman was able to save him from drowning and bring him to a Mexican shelter. From there, he was brought to Canada and put up for adoption.
And she said, oh, I should let you know that he's deaf, pretty shut down, and we've had to remove one eye since his adoption photo. I'm like, when can I pick him up?
Wilson passed away only 2.5 years later. However, his legacy is still felt in each new animal she saves.
What's this? You gonna go get it? Go get it. Go get it. Go get it.
Sandy Staples, a longtime friend of Janet's, was so moved by one of her Facebook posts that she began fostering for herself.
Margot is 2 years old. She was rescued from a hoarder situation in Cancun, Mexico. We're in a training process, of course. When you get a dog like this, they don't know how to go to the bathroom outside. Being in a house all the time, they don't know how to do a leash. Just around other dogs, she's a little feisty because she is protective of herself. I just can't imagine a little dog like this being on the streets for 2 years in Mexico.
Oh, I love you too. I love you too. Well, Janet is a lifelong animal lover who wants nothing more than to lead by example. She does have one giant piece of advice for future dog owners.
Spay neuter. I'll say that. That's the answer, is spay neuter, spay neuter. One unaltered female, her and her offspring, can produce 11,000 dogs in 1 year. That's astonishing. And it can only be stopped with spay neuter.
Janet is dedicated to giving all her pets the best life they could have, as well as expanding rescue efforts.
You don't have to foster to make a big difference in rescue. We're always looking for people to, drive the dogs to vet appointments or grooming appointments or do pickup at the airport. There's always something that can be done. So I would say, depending on where somebody lives, I would just connect with a rescue close to them and just reach out and ask them where they need help.
For more information about Janet and how to help out animals in need, she's on Instagram at Janet Lee Talbot and Janet Talbot on Facebook. This has been Candace Slosky with NewsWatch Extra.
In today's age, where farm-to-table dining has become the norm, a new trend is emerging: foraging for gourmet ingredients in the wild. Imagine plucking fresh mushrooms from the forest floor, harvesting wild herbs from the hillsides, and gathering fruits from trees, all to create a culinary masterpiece right in your kitchen.
Our Stephen Leong traveled to Canmore to meet a culinary expert and discover how natural food forage can be transformed into gourmet dishes that delight your taste buds and elevate your dining experience to new heights.
Thanks, guys. I'm here in the beautiful wilderness. That is Canmore, Alberta. I had the chance to dine at Sauvage, which is a fine dining restaurant that prides itself in using local and organic ingredients while finding out what makes this restaurant so special. Meet Tracy Little.
So this is called curly dock. It's one of the coolest things that you can forage in the winter because it's always everywhere.
Little is a renowned gourmet chef in Canmore, well known for her unique approach to cooking, where she uses her knowledge of plants, her connection to nature, and her culinary skills to bring a new experience to her restaurant.
So I try to forage as much as possible to really give people the experience, but especially during the winter and stuff like that, it gets a little harder. So we use local farms and greenhouses.
Tracy's foraging expertise stems not only from her education at Fanshawe College, but also from her father.
My dad originally got me into foraging. He just calls it getting food. Sometimes he jokes that it's going to the grocery store. And if you talk to him about foraging, he's like, what is this hipster baloney? What are you talking about? Because it is a new concept to make it kind of upper crust and stuff like that. It's always just been something people did to get food. So to reconnect people with that is really cool.
Little believes in sustainability and resourcefulness when it comes to cooking. This belief was put to the test when she competed on the Disney show called Chef vs. Wild.
They literally drop you and then you need to find everything that you can within a certain amount of time.
In the show, chefs battled in the wilderness of British Columbia to find ingredients to use in the competition. Little won the competition by making a dessert out of termites.
Oh, termites are delicious. They taste like hazelnuts.
She took what she learned from the show and is incorporating aspects of that into her restaurant. I'm here at Canmore, Alberta, at local restaurant Sauvage, where customers could connect their taste buds to dishes being forested by local chef Tracy Little. Tracy forages all these ingredients by taking walks every single day and picking up stuff where some people might not think that you can.
My favorite dish is the wild boar, and that's because it's supposed to represent spring coming, and it's supposed to be the snow melting and having everything show through. So it's got some blanched stinging nettles that get sauteed in butter and white wine, and then wild boar that we sous vide overnight and then sear to order. A potato foam that goes on top, and then a grilled maitake mushroom with a birch barbecue sauce, and some foraged lichen, as well as some chaga powder that we sprinkle on at the end.
Locals are not the only ones that can enjoy meals in Tracy's restaurant.
Our biggest supporters are actually from Edmonton and Calgary. They drive all the way out, which is crazy.
The scallops to die for. It's really good.
Sauvage is not your typical restaurant. It's a place where you can taste Canada and experience the wilderness in each bite. If you would like to indulge in what Tracy has to offer, book your reservations at sauvagerestaurant.ca. I'm Stephen Leong, Nate NewsWatch Extra.
From Canmore back to campus now, Chef Blair Lebsack was in town last month as the honorary Hokanson Chef in Residence, where he had the privilege of giving students a hands-on culinary learning experience.
Oh, you've got to be kidding me. Back-to-back food stories? I'm going to need a snack between segments at this rate. Our Tristan Shaw joins us right outside Ernest. Maybe he can grab me something while he's there.
Thanks, guys. I'm Tristan Shaw, standing right outside of Ernest, where they run the Hokanson Chef in Residence program, in which they select a celebrity chef to come on campus to provide students with a hands-on learning experience. Last month, they invited Chef Blair Lebsack to come in and enlighten students with his food philosophies. So we're going to take a deeper look into the program and how Chef Blair Lebsack enlightens students. Let's head on in. A familiar face is returning to the NAIT campus to give culinary students a once-in-a-lifetime experience. Born and raised in Alberta on his dad's grain farm, Blair Lebsack was honored to be selected as this week's Chef in Residence.
I got the phone call from Perry McKetty, and so they had a conversation and decided to choose me. It's very honored that I got picked.
The Hawkinson Chef-in-Residence program is a unique program that selects a highly coveted chef to come to campus to provide students with an interpersonal and hands-on learning experience. This program is the first of its kind in all of Canada and is highly regarded. The goal of the program is to expose students to innovative cooking techniques and diverse culinary trends and styles through the celebrity chef's expertise in the industry.
This year we have included the year 1 students as well, so semester 1 and 2. I think it's important for us to have the year 1 students engage from day 1 as well.
The process of selecting the celebrity chef focuses on the chef's presence in the industry and their diverse experience. Successful restaurant ownership, TV appearances, and published books are all considered when selecting the chef for the week.
They get to look at all these new ways that aren't the way the school does them, and so it just kind of allows them to think outside the box.
Blair Lebsack is a proud owner of Range Road, a restaurant focused on celebrating the taste and flavors of the prairies. Lebsack was also a former NAIT student and instructor, making him a perfect fit for the chef-in-residence position. Lebsack's tenure as chef-in-residence will come to an end on March 15th. Tristan Shaw, NAIT NewsWatch Extra.
Coming up after the break, more things.
You do know what those things are, right, Kayla?
Yeah, of course.
Well, then what are they?
Our Miriam Hassan takes a look at some vintage cameras, and our Roxanne Harnack explores a winter tradition.
That's exactly right. So sit tight and enjoy.
NAIT NewsWatch 2024 Team Apparel is brought to you by Cratex Industries, Elko Promotions, and Vienna Bakery.
In an ever-expanding digital society where everyone has access to a high-resolution camera in their pocket, some are choosing to step back in time.
Vintage cameras have become a trend amongst people in their early 20s. What's the reason behind the popularity of these timeless cameras? And will the trend persist in the coming years? Our Miriam Hassan joins us to tell us more about this story.
Thanks, guys. Film cameras like these have become a trend lately as more people start to use them over digital. I went down to McBain Camera Store to learn more as to why people are choosing vintage cameras. Cameras have been around for centuries, but when digital cameras hit the market in the late 1980s, film cameras slowly became obsolete. In 2003, digital cameras outsold film, and even major companies like Kodak stopped producing film cameras. However, in recent years, there has been a shift back to what are now vintage cameras.
Our used cameras and sales, and especially in the film side of things, it's grown a lot over the past few years, and it seems like the level of interest has not gone away. To the point now where actually some of the manufacturers are actually starting to look at bringing out new film cameras now to actually support the bigger film market that exists now.
In 2020, the global market size of film cameras was $1.2 billion and is expected to grow by 6.8% from 2020 to 2028. As the popularity of film cameras increases, what's in it for the younger generations? Why are they choosing film over digital?
The current generation of young people have been raised on perfect images with digital cameras, where everything's like perfectly colored, perfectly balanced in light, perfect shadow detail, perfect highlight detail. Everything just looks too perfect. So now when they get a chance to see these older cameras that have imperfections on them, character, it feels a little bit warming, and people they get a sense or a little more sense of heart from the images and that sort of thing.
Along with the popularity of film cameras, there's been a trend towards digital cameras from the early 2000s. One might not consider digital cameras to be vintage, but vintage is defined as anything over 20 years old. And even shops like Junk Cellar on White Ave, which traditionally sold film cameras, have now started to sell digital cameras.
For a long time, Polaroid cameras were really the hot thing. So we've always kept them on the shelf. And then in the last year to 6 months or so, we've noticed that the digital cameras are what's really changed as far as demand. Only more recently started to include digital cameras in our vintage camera section. And as far as vintage cameras in general, I find there's always an uptick around the fall season.
As the trends go from Polaroid to film, to now even digital from the early 2000s, what's in it for collectors?
In my opinion, we're so oversaturated with digital media, and digital media is great, but just to have something tangible that you can hold in your hand and see, I took this picture. As well, with film photography, you have to really think about your shot. With a digital camera, you could click, 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 and take hundreds of photos.
While digital cameras won't disappear anytime soon, collectors, photographers, and hobbyists who may have thought the days of film were over can soon see new additions come to the market.
The manufacturer who's coming out with film cameras, Pentax, which is an old name, they're coming out with the point-and-shoot cameras this summer. Ostensibly next year, they're going to come out with an SLR, film SLR, which is cool. They never leapt into a mirrorless world, so they've always been an SLR kind of game, and they're very traditional in that way.
Miriam Hassan, Nate NewsWatch Extra.
Now that the winter season is finally over, I'm looking forward to throwing on some shorts and enjoying the warm weather.
Well, actually, there was an unexpected snowfall Wednesday morning here in Edmonton, but I'm sad to say it's not cold enough to go skating. Our Roxanne Harnack looks back on the Silver Skate Festival.
Thanks, guys. I'm here at Laurier Park, where last February the Silver Skate Festival was held, ushering in hundreds of families to see a wide variety of attractions, ranging from snow sculptures to ice skating to Indigenous storytelling and more. Ice skating is an integral part of Canadian culture. Braving frigid temperatures, hundreds of families have attended the Silver Skate Festival in Edmonton for over 30 years.
We've created some great partnerships over the years with different groups. Like one of our best partnerships is Adam from the International Festival of Winter Cinema. And this is about community and building relationships. And look at us 8 years later. Best festival yet, buddy?
Best.
You bet.
There. How's that, Bert?
Well, that's just a terrific snowman, Ernie.
Yep, I think this is one of the nicest snowmen I've seen in a long, long time.
Yep. Come on, let's go home and eat. I'm hungry.
Bert!
Many children start out by building snowmen, but that childlike hobby has snowballed for some into something more beautiful.
Well, we just kind of wanted to make something that people could interpret themselves, because when you see art, a lot of the time you have your idea of what it is, and sometimes that's almost more meaningful than what the artist intended.
Whether it be carving a sculpture or skating on ice, there's no denying the impact that winter has on bringing Canadians together. I'm Roxanne Harnack with Nate NewsWatch Extra.
Thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Before we go, we have one more surprise for you tonight. A special message from our very own Tristan Shaw.
Take it away, T-Dog.
Thanks, guys. I really just wanted to jump on in here to say thank you. Sorry, Chris, I'm pointing at the camera for this. Thank you so much for watching. This may not be the last show, but the end is drawing close. It has been an amazing year and a half, and I'm so thankful that we've had this time together. And a special thanks goes out to our teachers here at NAIT who've made us who we are today and kept at least half of us out of trouble. Finally, a special shout out to friend of the show, Connor, you know who you are, who's helped us through all the ups and downs of the show. Have a good night, everyone.